The moon's sky was dark, filled with heavy clouds that made the sunlight weak and cold. The ground was rough and rocky, covered with dust that looked like ash. This place was not a home for many. Most called it the Monster Moon. No one came here unless they had to. Luke moved carefully. His boots crushed small stones as he walked between the broken pieces of a crashed ship. The metal was twisted and blackened by fire. Smoke still rose from some parts. Luke was a scavenger. His job was to find things that others left behind, things that could be sold or used. But today felt different. The silence around the wreck was heavy, almost as if the moon was holding its breath. Suddenly, a small sound broke the silence. It was a weak cry. Luke stopped. He looked around, listening closely. The sound came again, soft, frightened, and shaky. It was a child's cry. But no children were supposed to be here. He followed the sound to a small, crushed cargo pod near the wreckage. The door was bent, but not fully broken. Luke carefully pushed it open. Inside was a small alien girl, no older than 5 years in, human terms. Her skin was pale blue with soft purple patches. Her large eyes were wide with fear and tears. Her tiny body shook as she lay among broken wires and debris. Luke's heart clenched. He knew she was alone and in danger. "Hey there," he said softly, trying to sound calm and kind. The girl flinched but did not move. She did not speak, only stared at him. Luke looked at the girl's thin arms and dirty clothes. She had clearly been trapped for a long time. His own jacket was still on, thick and warm. Without asking, he took it off and wrapped it gently around her small shoulders. She looked up at him, eyes searching his face. Luke smiled faintly. "I'll help you, I promise." The girl's lips moved, but no words came out. She was too scared. Luke wanted to help her right away, but knew the moon was full of dangers. The monsters of this place were real and hungry. He lifted the girl carefully into his arms. Her body was light but weak. She rested her head against his chest. Luke checked the area quickly. No other creatures were near, but the moon was never safe for long. The girl reached up and touched his face with a small hand, her touch trembling. It was a silent thank you. He decided to take her to his camp, a small shelter he had set up some miles away. It was simple, but better than staying out in the open. Luke moved carefully, holding the girl close. As they walked, the girl's breathing slowed and she looked a little calmer. Luke tried to talk to her again. "What's your name? Where are you from?" She did not answer, but drew a small picture. In the dirt with a stick, a simple house and a tall tree next to it. Luke nodded. "Okay, we'll find your home." The girl looked at the drawing and smiled faintly for the first time. When they reached the camp, Luke built a small fire and found some clean water in his supplies. He gave her water to drink. She took it slowly, her hands still shaking. Luke cleaned a small cut on her cheek with a cloth. "You're safe now," he said. "I won't let anything hurt you." The girl looked up at the stars visible through a break in the clouds. She touched her chest and whispered a word Luke could not understand. "Sarah." Luke wondered if that was her name or a place. He gently asked again, but she only shook her head. He knew one thing: she was alone and someone had left her to die. That thought made Luke angry. Why would someone abandon a child on this moon? Why leave her to monsters? He looked back at the wrecked ship. Something was not right. Before he could think more, a low growl echoed from the dark nearby. Luke tensed. He stood up slowly, holding the girl tightly. Out of the shadows stepped a twisted creature, half metal, half organic. Its eyes glowed red, and its sharp claws scraped the rock. It moved with strange, jerky steps, but it was fast. Luke did not run. He remembered his old days as a scout in the army. He picked up a broken pipe nearby and held it ready. The creature growled again and lunged forward. Luke swung the pipe with all his strength. It hit the creature's side, and sparks flew. The monster hissed and backed away, then disappeared into the dark. Luke breathed hard. He looked down at the girl. She had closed her eyes tightly but was unharmed. "I got you," he said. "Nothing will happen to you." That night, Luke sat near the fire and watched the stars. The girl slept quietly, her small head resting on his knee. He thought about her mother. Somewhere far away, a mother must be looking for this lost child, not knowing she was left alone on a world full of monsters. Luke promised himself that he would find that mother and return the girl to her. No matter what dangers they would face, he would not give up. Because for Luke, saving this little alien was not just a job. It was a chance to do something good in a dark place. And on this cold, broken moon, hope was the strongest light they had. The next morning, the cold wind blew across the rocky moon. Luke woke early, careful not to disturb the little alien girl sleeping beside the small fire. She stirred but stayed asleep, her small hands resting on the edge of his jacket. Luke looked at the damaged ship far in the distance. It was a dangerous place, full of traps and deadly machines. He knew he could not stay there. The creatures that lived here were many, and not all of them as slow or easy to scare as the metal monster from last night. He gently picked up the girl. She opened her eyes and looked at him. Though she could not speak his language, the fear was clear in her gaze. Luke smiled softly. "We need to move," he said. "It's not safe here." The girl nodded slightly. Luke named her Mina. It was a name that felt right, short and gentle like her. She did not argue. Luke wrapped her more tightly in his jacket and prepared to leave. He packed his small bag with what he could carry, some food, water, a flare gun, and a few tools. Before leaving, he searched near the fire for anything useful. Among the stones, he found a small, glowing device. It was broken but still flickered faintly. He picked it up, wondering if it was a tracker or a communication tool. Maybe it could help them send a message. As Luke and Mina stepped away from the camp, the moon's surface stretched before them like a vast gray desert. Jagged rocks and deep craters made every step difficult. But Luke had survived worse. He kept alert, scanning the shadows for signs of danger. Mina clung to him, her tiny arms holding tight. Hours passed. The sun, weak and pale, moved slowly across the sky. They stopped only to rest briefly and drink water. Luke shared his small rations with Mina, watching carefully as she ate. She drew pictures again, this time on a flat rock. A tall woman with kind eyes, a shining city, and a strange shape that looked like a star. Luke guessed it was her home or family. His heart ached. Someone was out there, searching for this girl. As they walked, strange noises echoed around them. Small creatures scurried in the rocks. In the distance, the low growls and howls of bigger beasts could be heard. Luke tightened his grip on a sharpened stick. Suddenly, a group of 4 large creatures jumped from behind a rock. They looked like wild dogs, but bigger and covered in black rough scales. Their eyes burned red. They snarled and showed sharp teeth. Luke pushed Mina behind him. The creatures circled, ready to attack. Luke stayed calm. He had fought many enemies before. Using quick movements, he grabbed stones and threw them to distract the beasts. Then, with the sharpened stick, he stood tall and shouted loudly. The creatures hesitated. They did not understand the shout, but the noise scared them for a moment. One of them lunged. Luke dodged and jabbed the stick. The creature yelped and ran back. The others growled but moved away slowly. Mina watched with wide eyes. She looked at Luke as if he was a protector, a hero. Luke knelt beside her. "You have to be brave," he said. "We will get through this." They moved faster, leaving the area behind. Luke knew these creatures would return if they stayed. After several more miles, they reached a narrow cave. Luke looked inside. It was dark but dry and safer than outside. He entered first, checking for any danger. The cave was cold, but it gave shelter from the harsh wind. Luke set up a small fire near the entrance and made a bed of soft moss and cloth. Mina sat by the fire, her blue skin glowing softly in the firelight. She smiled faintly at Luke, then reached into her small bag and pulled out a strange stone. It was smooth and shiny, with markings he did not understand. Luke took the stone carefully. He looked closely and saw that it was a kind of key or tool. "This belongs to you?" he asked. Mina nodded. She touched the stone to her chest and whispered, "Varnock." Luke remembered the word from before. Was it the name of the monsters? Or the place she came from? He wished he could ask her more, but her fear made her quiet. She leaned on him, trusting him completely. That night, Luke kept watch. The stars were hidden behind thick clouds, but the moon's faint light guided his eyes. His mind raced with questions. Who had left this child to die? Why? And what dangers were still following them? He did not know, but he knew one thing clearly. He would protect Mina no matter what. The next day, Luke decided to explore a little farther from the cave. He wanted to find any sign of life or help. He left Mina safe inside, promising to return quickly. Walking carefully, Luke discovered strange tracks on the ground, large clawed marks leading towards a deep valley. He followed them quietly. At the valley's edge, he saw an abandoned camp. The ground was burned and broken with scattered tools and pieces of metal. Among the ashes, Luke found a small data chip. It was damaged, but he hoped to recover some information. Back at the cave, he showed the chip to Mina. She looked at it, then slowly nodded. Luke tried to repair the chip with his tools. After hours of work, the chip flickered to life. On a small screen appeared images, ships, strange symbols, and faces of powerful-looking aliens. One face stood out, a tall woman with gentle eyes. She looked sad. Mina gasped and covered her mouth. She pointed to the woman and whispered softly, "Mother." Luke smiled softly. This was the mother who was searching for the little girl. And maybe she still believed Mina was alive. Luke's heart was full of hope and worry. He looked at Mina. "We have to find her." Mina smiled weakly, her faith in Luke growing stronger. Together, they prepared for a long journey. A journey to find home, to face dangers, and to bring light where monsters tried to leave only darkness. After days of resting and careful planning, Luke knew it was time to try something risky. The small glowing device he found near the crash was still blinking faintly. He hoped it could send a signal strong enough to reach someone who could help Mina, or at least tell her mother she was alive. Luke studied the device closely. It was a beacon meant for emergency calls. He took it apart and repaired it as best as he could, using his tools and some spare parts from his gear. The device hummed softly, its light steady now. He looked at Mina. Her eyes were full of hope, but also fear. She held the shiny stone, the one with the strange markings, and whispered Varnock again. Luke wondered what Varnock really meant. He had a feeling it was important. Outside, the sky was heavy with dark clouds, but Luke set the beacon on a rock and activated it. The device sent a steady pulse of light and sound into space. A message, a call for help. They waited. Hours passed. The moon was silent except for the wind. Suddenly, the device beeped loudly. A response. Luke's heart jumped. He grabbed the beacon and watched the small screen. A strange message appeared, one he could not read. The symbols moved fast like a code. Then a voice spoke through the device. It was cold, harsh, and unfamiliar. "Identify yourself," it said. Luke raised the device higher. "I am Luke. Human. I found a lost alien child. She needs help. Please." The voice did not answer right away. Then, louder and clearer, it spoke again. "The child is a danger. She must not survive." Luke's blood ran cold. Mina gasped and clutched his arm. She repeated the word Varnock, louder this time, her voice trembling. Luke looked around, feeling eyes on them. He whispered, "Who is hunting you, Mina? What is Varnock?" Mina hesitated, then showed him a small old picture she had drawn. It was of a terrible creature, part machine, part animal. It had sharp claws and glowing eyes. It looked like the monsters that attacked them. "Varnock," she said softly. "They sent them." Luke realized that the voice on the device was not a call for rescue. It was a warning. Someone wanted to find Mina and stop her no matter what. He had to protect her. Luke packed their things quickly. They could not stay here. The monsters, or whatever Varnock was, were coming closer. As they moved through the rocky fields, Luke thought about what Mina had shown him. She was not just a lost child, she was part of something bigger, something important. She was the daughter of a powerful alien diplomat. Her mother, a leader of a great planet, was searching for her, but enemies wanted Mina dead to stop a peace treaty between worlds. Luke clenched his fists. No matter what, he would not let them win. That night, as they camped under the moon's dim light, Luke kept watch while Mina slept. His mind was full of plans and fears. Suddenly a soft noise came from the dark nearby. Luke stood quickly, grabbing his knife. From the shadows, a small figure appeared. It was an alien man, thin and worn, with nervous eyes. "Please," the man said. "I am not your enemy." Luke held the knife steady but lowered it a little. "Who are you?" "My name is Kale," the man said. "I was sent to find Mina, but not to hurt her. I want to help." Luke did not trust easily, but something in Kale's voice seemed true. "Why should I believe you?" Luke asked. Kale looked at Mina sleeping. "Because I know her mother. She wants her safe." Luke thought for a moment, then nodded. Kale told them stories of a great war between alien groups with Mina caught in the middle. Varnock was a violent group, trying to stop peace. They sent hunters to kill the child. Kale promised to guide Luke and Mina to a safe place, where they could send a real message to Mina's mother. Luke and Mina agreed to trust Kale, hoping this was their chance. The next day, the three moved carefully through the rocky valleys and dangerous fields. Kale warned them of patrols and traps. At one point, they had to hide in a narrow cave as Varnock hunters passed nearby. Luke watched silently, amazed at the hunters' strange weapons and armor. He felt a new respect for the danger they faced. This was no simple fight. It was a battle for Mina's life and the future of many worlds. After many hours, Kyle led them to an old spaceport hidden in the mountains. The port was damaged but still usable. "We can send a strong signal from here," Kyle said. Luke worked quickly to repair the old communication tower, while Mina stayed close, drawing pictures and whispering softly. When the tower came to life, Luke sent a message to Mina's mother's home planet. The message was clear. "Mina is alive. We are coming." As the message traveled across space, Luke looked at Mina. She smiled shyly, hope shining in her eyes. But the danger was not over. Kale warned, "Varnock hunters will come for us soon. We must be ready." Luke stood tall. "Then we will fight. Together." In the quiet of the spaceport, with stars above and the unknown ahead, a human, an alien child, and a guide prepared to face monsters, enemies, and the dark to bring a lost girl home. The stars hung bright in the black sky as Luke, Mina, and Kale prepared to leave the hidden spaceport. Their small, patched-up ship rested on the landing pad, ready for the dangerous journey ahead. The signal to Mina's mother had been sent, but they knew time was short. The hunters from Varnock would not wait. Luke checked the ship's systems carefully. It was old and fragile, but it was their only hope. Mina watched him nervously, her small hands clutching the shiny stone she carried. "Everywhere." Kale stood beside Luke. "The Varnock hunters are close. They know where we are. We must leave quickly." Luke nodded. "I'll do whatever it takes to keep her safe." The ship lifted slowly, the engines sputtering and groaning as they rose into the dark sky. Luke guided it away from the planet's surface, dodging rocky peaks and sudden storms. Mina looked out the window, her eyes wide. She pointed to a bright star and whispered, "Home." Luke smiled softly. "We're going there." The journey was long and tense. They avoided main space routes, taking hidden paths through asteroid fields and dark nebulae. Luke's experience as a pilot saved them from many dangers, but the hunters were smart and relentless. One night, as they passed near a small moon, the ship's sensors blinked red. "We're being followed," Kale warned. Luke's hands tightened on the controls. He pushed the ship to full speed, weaving through space debris and sharp asteroid belts. The hunters' ships chased them like shadows, firing energy blasts. Luke dodged and weaved, his heart pounding. He knew if they were caught, Mina would be taken, and everything would be lost. After a fierce chase, Luke found a narrow space between two large asteroids. He turned sharply, hiding the ship behind the rocks. The hunters flew past unaware. Mina looked at Luke, her eyes shining with gratitude. "You saved me again." Luke smiled gently. "I will always protect you." Days later, the ship entered the orbit of a large, shining planet, Mina's home. The city below glittered with tall towers and lights that stretched to the horizon. Luke landed the ship on a secure platform near the city's center. They were close now. As they stepped out, soldiers and officials waited. Among them was a tall woman with soft eyes and a worried face, Mina's mother. The woman rushed forward and knelt before Mina, tears streaming down her face. Mina ran into her mother's arms, crying softly. Luke watched quietly, feeling a warmth he had not known before. The mother looked up and saw Luke standing behind her daughter. Slowly she approached and bowed her head, breaking an ancient custom to show respect to a human. "You saved my child," she said softly. "You have my eternal gratitude." Luke shook his head. "I did what anyone should do. No one deserves to be left alone." The mother smiled sadly. "You have changed how we see humans." But the reunion was not without danger. As they celebrated, Varnock hunters appeared, disguised among the crowd. They moved to capture Mina. Luke reacted quickly. He grabbed a nearby guard's weapon and stood between the hunters and the family. A fight broke out. Luke's training and quick thinking helped him outmatch the attackers. The hunters were surprised. No human had ever fought like this. Mina's mother called for reinforcements, and the city guards surrounded the attackers. The hunters were captured, and peace returned. For now. After the battle, Mina's mother took Luke aside. "Your bravery saved not only my daughter, but our future." Luke smiled. "Mina is strong. She will make a difference." Mina hugged Luke tightly. "Thank you." Luke looked at the bright city lights and knew this was only the beginning. Together, they would face whatever came next. The city was calm now, but the memory of the recent danger hung in the air. Mina sat beside her mother in a large room filled with light and quiet voices. The woman's eyes were soft but strong, filled with relief and gratitude. Luke stood nearby, watching the two. He felt a strange warmth inside, a feeling he had never known before. He had saved a child, yes, but he had also helped bring hope to many. The mother looked at Luke and spoke carefully. "In my world, it is not common for a human to be welcomed like this." Luke smiled. "Maybe it should be." She nodded slowly. "You risked everything for a child you barely knew. That shows something rare in your people." Luke looked down at Mina. No one should be left behind, not even on a moon full of monsters. Her mother's eyes shone with respect. "You are more than a stranger now. You are part of our story." Word of Luke's bravery spread quickly through the city and beyond. Messages traveled across planets, reaching ears that once doubted humans. They heard how a human had saved an alien child from death and danger, how he had fought hunters and faced monsters, how he had never given up, even when the odds were against him. For many, it was the first true glimpse of humanity's courage and heart. In the days that followed, Mina grew stronger. She learned about her people and her home, but she also learned about Luke, his kindness, his courage, and his promise to always protect her. One evening, as the sun set behind the tall towers, Mina took Luke's hand. "Thank you," she whispered. Luke squeezed her hand gently. "You don't have to thank me. You saved me too in your own way." The mother watched them with a smile. "You have brought light to a dark place." But peace was fragile. The leaders of other planets watched closely, some with hope, others with fear. The story of a human protector reached ears that did not want peace. Luke knew challenges would come, but he was ready. He had learned that being human was not just about strength or skill. It was about heart, hope, and standing up for what was right. As he looked at the stars from the balcony, Luke whispered, "This is only the beginning." Because when a human makes a promise, that promise echoes across the stars, and no monster, no enemy, can silence it.